Yes, friends. In the next video, we will of data. So if we will using macro with a particular data, then we will use the macro with this particular data. On the basis of this one, we have to create some file. For example, we have a create different macros. Macro with using of different functionality. We have a create a very small functionality with using of macro. So make sure that macro functionality, you will create the macro functionality on the basis of the particular value. So when we are create a basis of particular value, we want to create a particular file. If this particular file it will be created, you have to store this particular value. For example, we have a data from the numeric data number this data, and the basis of number we have some values. For example, we have a something from this big value, and this value we want to add a thousands value. We want to add this value. Now if you want to create some macro, this value is also from this data is also available in this sheet also here. This data is also available in this file also. So we want to check this data. You check here this data with using of macro enable file, the decimal value with put out the zero value. You have to use this value, so we want to use this parameter. On the basis of this parameter, we want to use this file. Now what we want particularly, view record macro. This is macro name is macro1. You want to use this macro1. This workbook store the macro in this workbook description and all the workbook. For example, this is a number macro. We want to use this number macro. Shortcut key, you will be use the shortcut key. Any of the shortcut key you will be use. Otherwise, since you are create a button, you know about that. Control Shift R. This is the shortcut key. This workbook and description, you want to use the both the data description from the macro with using of number function. Macro with using of number function, you will be use the macro with using of this number functionality. So whenever you are using with macro with the number, then you will be use this. Okay, when we clear on OK button, home tab, we will go for the more number of format. If I am going from the more number of format, you can see here the number format, custom number format is available. Number format is also available. Number and decimal place is in 0. Then OK, we will file. Now stop the recording. The shortcut key is Control plus Shift plus R. Now you can see here all the number formatting, only one click, one macro. Here we will not using the go for the number formatting. Now we will use the Control plus Shift plus R, and here we will also use the Control plus Shift plus R. So number formatting, we will using this number formatting any of this file. And with using of this file, you want to create the particular data. On the basis of this data, we want to create a particular value. Now you check here. We want to create a file, option, advanced, for example, customized ribbons. For example, we will have a customized ribbons. We have a all command. For we have a particular macro. For example, quick access toolbar, we have a macro. In this macro, we have a number macro. Add this macro and OK. Now we can use the number macro. Here we will create this macro. The second functionality, if you want to use the number macro, if we have not to create any button, we cannot create any shortcut key, then what can we do? We can go for the option command. quick access toolbar, otherwise as customized ribbons. You have to create a new tab. For example, we want to create a new tab. Rename this tab. For example, I am going from this tab name is macro underscore. Name this macro and okay this macro. If you want to use the macro, you want to use this macro name. So first select this one and add this macro. This is macro name and here is a macro name tab is available. You can create your own tab also with using of macro. So this is a bash functionality in this. So now any data with coming from 919 and we want to use this decimal places, you want to only single click. With using of this single click, you can create any data, we can multiply any data, and this data, now the formatting is different. Now you can see here, this is your own created tab. Then you can delete also for this tab. Go for the customize ribbons, and the customized ribbons we want to select this one, right click and remove this tab. If I'm removing this tab, the tab is all the data is removed and you can now show the data with using of this parameter. So now this data is removed from your side and you want to use this parameter on the basis of this value. We want to use this tab is deleted. If you want to add a new tab, you can add, this is a custom tab. So here it's a custom tab. We have to remove this tab because custom tab have given to remove this. We want to also remove this tab because this is a custom tab. We also want to remove this tab, the home tab, page layout, formula, data, review, view, developer. KU tools, this is the one type of utility. This is not a custom tab. This is Excel utility. This utility only available when you are storing this value with particular data that after using KU tools. So make sure that KU tools is available when you are using this value on the particular data. Now, if you want to do this particular data, on the basis of this data, we want to create a next functionality on the create this value from the next data. Now you can see here this data, it will be changed, but yes, this is only for applicable this workbook. In a different workbook it will be not applicable. So make sure that this functionality is only available when we are using with particular number functionality. If you are using the custom conditional formatting with number formatting, you can use this functionality. For example, if you go for the view tab, then you can see here, right? This is a number. This is your number. Then go for the record macro. We place the record macro in a simple blank workbook. For example, macro 2. If you want to use the shortcut key, you can use this. Otherwise, also okay, caps lock Q, Control Shift Q. Now you can use this. Color is bold, italic, underline. This is your color. And go for the custom format, more number of format. Go for the number format. In this number format, decimal places is 0. Now stop recording and here we will applicable this macro, Control Shift and Q. You can see here both the formatting value, same value. Yes, we can see the conditional formatting with the macro with using of number formatting. So in the both the places, number formatting is also available, conditional formatting is also available. In the both the places, it will be available. So make sure that you want to use this macro. So you will be using of this macro, we want to create a particular functionality. Now if you want to use the border line, if you want to use multiple things in one particular macro, now you have to some doubts. This number formatting, you want to create this number formatting in some other macro also. We want to create this as simple without using of macro. We want to create it. So why we create the macro? Because we can create the simultaneously two things in a one macro. We have to go for color macro with, we have to use for number formatting also. So if I'm using Control Shift and Q, now you can see the number formatting also and color format also. Both the things in a one place. So it is very useful when we want to create the both the thing in a one place. You want to create this macro. If you want to use this macro, you want to create a color macro, formatting macro, all the macro in a one place, and you want to create this. So make sure that if you want to use this macro, you want to create a particular data with the particular functionality, and you want to use this functionality. So make sure that both the functionality in a same place with using of the color macro. So it is very useful when we want to create the color macro with the number formatting. In both the places it will be used, number and color. Now we want to create a second macro. For example, here we will write down items and price, right? For example, pen and price, pencil and price, pencil and price, computer and price, right? Here the value is items and is price. You can see here items and its price. Copy this value and paste here. Copy this value and paste also here. Now you can see that this is the item and price value in different format. Now I want to that item is in middle side. It's been that this way. Alignment is middle. Price alignment is middle. Color formatting is different, and three places color formatting, item format, alignment will be same as it is. So make sure that three places value it will be same. So now what can we do with using of macro? This is a very useful from your side, items and this pricing value. For example, we want to create this formatting in a particular blank cell. For the blank cell, we want to create this format. We can create also on the data also, but we want to create a blank cell, so any effect is not available. So we can easily understand that this effect is not available from your side. So make sure that you want to create this effect. Now what can we do? First, view, record macro. The macro name is macro 3. If any shortcut key available, you want to shortcut key, otherwise as button will be work. But in this data, we want the shortcut key, because if it is not the available shortcut key, then we want to use this value. Control plus Shift plus D. This is macro shortcut key. Now, you can use this macro in the middle, then color formatting, then bold, then font size it will be 12, right? We want to create the simple formality, simple function with the using of, if you want to use the border line, thick box border line, then you want to use the thick box border line. So we want to create a multiple effect at the same time. Stop recording. Now, which one is shortcut key? I forgot this. Then view, then we got the macro number 3 and option. This is control plus shift plus D. Then we will use control plus shift plus D. This is working or not, we want to check here. Yes, control shift D. This is a shortcut key of the other manu also. So now we want to this button, right click, assign macro, macro 3, and okay. We want to select this one and create this one. Now you can see here control shift D. This is the shortcut key of the ASCP utility. Yes, Control Shift T, this is the shortcut key of the ASCP utility. So make sure that it will be usable. It will be not usable. Control Shift D, we want to create an insert shape. Otherwise else, we want to create some functions name. With using of this function name, we want to create this. Here we will insert the shape, and in the second functionality, we want to create a different macro. Assign the macro 3. And if you want to, this value will be selected, and you can see here thick box, borderline with this thick box is available. So we want to create a thick box borderline. With using of this borderline, we want to create this value with this pricing value, pen, pencil, and computer value. Now you can see here, this is value is coming from your side. So make sure that this is a more usable from your side when we are creating this value. Now, if you want to use this macro file options, macro 3, then you want to use this macro number 3. It will be added here. So if I wanted this one is also changed. Then this macro is worked properly. Whenever you are creating for your personal tab, this is called as a customized ribbons. When we are control S, it's been that save this file. It is macro enable file, so but obviously it will be saved on a macro enable workbook. So make sure that macro enable file, it will be saved on a macro enable workbook. If you are using this file on the basis of this one, we want to use this file with using of macro enable file. So it will be usable with macro for this command. So make sure that if you want to use the macro enable file from this file, we want to use this file with using of particular data. Now you have some confusion that if we are using a format painter, then it will be also work. So why we use the macro? Yes, friends. You can create the first macro for number and color formatting. Second macro for color formatting, alignment also. Now you can clear about that. Format painter is the only formatting of the last command, last data. It will be storable from your side, right? So last command, if it is a storable from your side, this is a value from the particular data. So it will be usable from your side. So format painter, this is a difference between the format painter and the macro. Macro store the different command with using of different shortcut key buttons and anything else. But format painter only recorded last sections. So that is the main difference between the format painter and the macro. So now you have to clear idea about that one. Why we use the macro? Because sometimes we have to confusion that why we use the macro. Same thing we will possible with using of format painter, copy. For example, if I'm copy and paste the cell, at that time also possible. Then why we using the macro? Friends, macro, it's a very different functionality. Which task, anyone task is a repeated time from your side, at that time you want to create a macro. So make sure that whenever you are using the macro and format painter, you can see here, this is the format painter, you can use this format painter here, right? But this is a store on the last command also. Now we want to using of number formatting with control shift Q, I think so shortcut key. So both the command, both the value, it will be not using simultaneously. Macro, we will create a different macro shortcut key, and it will be create the different functionality. So make sure that different functionality with a different file, we want to use this different file. If you want to use this different functionality with the different macro, you can use this different functionality with different macros. So now you have to clear idea about the particular data with using of conditional formatting, with using of this data. If you want to use this macro, if you want to use in a different file, then you cannot using this file, because in a different file format it will be not usable. So make sure that if the file is coming from your side, if it is this workbook macro, then only work from this macro workbook, only work from this workbook. It will be not working in a different workbook. So make sure that this macro is only workbook, this workbook only, not for new workbook, not for personal macro. If you are using the personal macro workbook, then you can use this personal macro workbook. If you are not using personal macro workbook, then you are using this workbook. Now, same macro, we have open two Excel file. For example, we want to using second Excel file. We want to create only one Excel file. So if you want to create a personal macro workbook, then it will be created or not. We want to check here. View, record macro, not for this workbook, personal macro workbook, and okay, macro code. Personal macro workbook, when we are opening the file, at that time it will be recorded. We can see here the personal macro workbook in another way. So if we will using for this file, so we will to consider the particular data. So now file, save as, macro enable workbook. What is the disadvantage of macro? With using of macro, control Z is not possible. So make sure that if you want to use the control Z, at that time macro is not usable. So if your origin data, it means that if you want to use your macro in a particular master data, then must be create one copy of this file. Otherwise, as any data is changed, if your creation of macro is wrong, at that time result value is very wrong. Macro, if you using your original data, at that time macro is not usable. So make sure that when you are using this data with using of macro, you want to use first macro with this file. So if you want to use the macro with this file, first the data one copy is created, then after you can apply the macro. Yes, if you want to change the color and anything from this macro, then view macro, add it here. Now you cannot clarify this value. So if you want to use the color value, for example, if I am changing here 6536, so it will be changed or not. This is macro number 2, for example, if we will use the macro number 2. Right click, assign macro, macro number 2. For example, our cursor is here and I want to change it. Now you can see here color combination, every code for the color is different. If you know about the code, if you know about the coding part, you have to create that. Otherwise, there's only one option. If the macro is wrong in your place, then you have to only one options, view macro, macro number 2, and deleted this macro. Nothing other option is available from your side. So make sure that whenever you are using with the macro, at that time you must be using with particular functionality, otherwise else it will be change your origin data. So any file with using of macro, first you are creating with a duplicate file. With using of duplicate file, you can create this value. So make sure that this value with using of this functionality, you can create your own data. So you have to create this own data with this value and create a macro. Okay. Then next, this is conditional formatting, formatting painter. If I am using this from protecting workbook, then it will be okay for that or not. This is main usable. For record macro, macro 5. If I am right click here and protect workbook, not giving the password in lock cell, if I am giving the password in unlock cell and write down 123, it is working or not, I check here. Re-enter the password 123 also and okay. Now you have to stop recording. Now we want to click here and insert. We want to create a shape. Right click, assign macro, and we want to create a macro 5. If you want to create a macro 5, then it will be created or not. We want to check here. No. We want only create the sheet number 2. Now you can have to clarify that macro only working of the position. It will be not working on the particular file. So if you want to using the macro with this particular file, you must be using this position. So whenever I'm clicking here at that place, it will be show this file and protected file. If I'm unprotect this file 123 and now I'm click here, you can see here this is protected file. Now macro only protect this sheet because it working with the position file. Whenever we are using working with the position file, at that time it will be protect for your file. So if you are using with unprotect this file, unprotect it, and if you are using protected this file is protected. So it will be particular position of your file. It's very matter for this one. So you can use this. Now, if I'm putting here the hyperlink with using of record macro 6, right? Then write down any value. Then insert an hyperlink. And okay. Stop record. Right? If you want to use the particular shortcut key for this macro, Control Shift E. Now I'm putting here. So now you can see here if we are using Control Shift E, the position is same. Only for book link is allowed. If first we will write down the value, then after I am storing this macro, then it will be work or not. So you have to clear idea about this one, which position macro is working, which position macro is not working. For example, Control Shift S and OK. Insert hyperlink on this places, OK, and stop record. For if I'm writing here, pick you up. Right click, assign macro 7. Then it will be working or not. It will be working, right? So now you have to clear idea about this one. So you have to particularly clear that which position macro is working and which position macro is not working. So make sure that and every places at that time macro is working or not is totally depend on you. If I am first write down starting of the macro and write down book name, then it will be not work. If I am write down the value and starting the value on the give the hyperlink, it will be working. Now you can see here this is a textual data, and here we will use Control Shift S. This will be working. So animal places, I want to give my links, my book link, then I have only placed Control Shift S, and at that time book link is created. Any places, any word file. Yes, in the word file also macro is available. Here I put out Control Shift S. So password, if you want to create a Control Shift S, the hyperlink is created. Now I am clicking on this hyperlink. At that time hyperlink value is selected. So now make sure that everyone places which one you are usable. At that time you want to create a particular data with the particular file. So make sure that if you want to create this file with using of this functionality and with using of this macro functionality. So if you want to use this macro functionality with this value, you want to use this. Hyperlink. Basically, hyperlink is basically used when we are created from the data. On the basis of the data, we want to create our new link. If I am removing this hyperlink, right click and remove hyperlink. So make sure that hyperlink is removed, and you want to use this hyperlink. On the basis of this hyperlink, we want to create a different functionality. If I am, for example, if I am giving the hyperlink here, this page, and if I am editing this functionality, edit hyperlink, this is image file, then we want to create this imaging file, right? We want to edit this functionality. So make sure that if you want to use the macro is valuable position is very important. The position and that file, if you want to use this position and file, you want to clear idea about that file with the using of this position. Right, friends? Okay, friends, we will discuss in the next macro, next functionality.